Welcome to the Sports Dép Podcast. My name is Joey Alfieri with Simon Tsalikis, and we finally have somebody else. I can finally bounce things off someone else, someone with a sound mind, someone with some logic, a little more than I'm used to on this show. We've got Brian Wilde joining us today. Brian, what's going on, man? How are you?
Smart choice by you. Smart choice by you, Joey.
Which part?
The love.
Doing a podcast with Simon or having you on? Which one is the smart choice?
Oh, I don't want to be cruel, but the second one.
Good. I'm glad. Tsalikis, what's going on, man? You good?
I'm doing very well. You know, it's not every day, you guys get to talk to somebody who's sitting on top of the NFC North division, but lucky for both of you, here I am.
Yes, here you are.
My team is also on the top of division, Simon.
It is. You've been there before. I've been, I think once. I think we've been there once since probably the Clinton administration. I think once. That's about it.
Yeah. Well, it was Bridge Ferry is the last time you've been in first, no?
No. We've won a couple of divisions in there. Mitchell Trubisky a couple of years ago, like five years ago. It's been a dry run.
Is he in the Hall of Fame yet?
He's in probably the North Carolina Tar Heels Football Hall of Fame.
I don't think so. I think that was 1 year. I think it was 1 year as it started. So I don't think
that's enough to get you in the hall there. Should be enough to get you in the hall there.
Yeah. All right. With the NFL stuff, we'll save for another time. Let's go Montreal Canadiens here, as that is the bread and butter. And Canadiens, look, coming off, Simon, we talked about this yesterday. Coming off a stretch where they picked up 3 of 4 points in and against Pittsburgh in a home and home. I think overall they were much better on the Saturday night at the Bell Center. But look, I think at the end of the day, guys, no matter how you slice it, but if you take away 3 top 9 forwards for as long as they have, and you take away a top 4 defenseman in Caden Gooley, and you tell me that going into the holiday break, or we're approaching the holiday break with a game to go, that they'd be 2 points out of first place, Brian, with a game in hand, I'd say that everybody would take that, no?
Yeah, and add bad goaltending to that, and they're still in the mix. Yeah. Like there's this season high they have been, which was against the Utah Mammoth, was 7 games over 500, which was a long time ago. And since then, they've had a lot of injuries and a lot of bad goaltending. And that's exactly where they are right now, is 7 games over 500. Which extrapolated over a whole year is 97 points. That's a good number. So they're right where they want to be, because I expect the second half when they get these guys back, they're going to get some better goaltending than this over the long run. It always reverts to the mean, does goaltending. They're getting more educated about how to play a defensive style of hockey that wins games. I'm expecting a real good second half. If they drop from here and finish 4 games over NHL 500, I'd be really surprised, you guys. I'm expecting them around 12, 13, 14 over 500 when it's all done.
Going to give a shout out to the Atlantic Division. Just spend a little bit of time today just looking at how tight it is and how good these clubs are. And you nailed it, Brian. Joey as well. Shout out to the Habs to getting this far without, several key members that, what I thought would be the second line entering the season. New hook between Doc and Patrick Laine, or maybe Doc in the middle and New hook on the wing. You got to give it to Tampa Bay. Vasilevsky was out for a while. Hedman was out for a while. Kachuk and Barkov out in Florida. They've that's that championship pedigree that, we always talk about when we talk about any team in sport. And even, Brady Kachuk out in Ottawa, and the Sens are still there. So ultra competitive Atlantic Division. And you have to think that once the bodies start to get in play, maybe they lack a little bit at that center ice position. We'll get into the Phil Deneau as well, probably just from a scoring standpoint, but getting better defensively, Slav looking better every day on that second line. And at the moment, I think the big one's going to be back is Caden Gooley. I think that's going to really set that blue line. So you got to be thinking some good things, because the goaltending, the math just says it can't go to 820, can it?
I mean, it can. I don't think it's staying there. I don't think it's going to stay there. But so, look, there's a couple problems that I want to hit here before we go. So why don't we start there? I was going to go there a little later on, but you both touched on the goaltending. I'm really curious to see how this all shakes out. I think this is the number one thing. I'm glad that I don't have to deal with this or make these decisions, because, look, Sam Montembeault, credit to him, he accepts to go down and work on his game. But, the other two guys have played pretty well. Like, Dobish wasn't terrible on Sunday. Fowler's obviously coming off a shutout. He'll play in Boston going into the holiday break. But if he turns in another solid performance, Brian, like, I don't know. I'm not really sure what you can do. You can send Dobish down if you want, but I mean, it feels like that's not entirely warranted. So what do? You keep carrying three?
One of the things that Kent Hughes has done a brilliant job at so far is rotating from an old lineup to a new lineup without there being a moment of truth in the locker room where they have to assess, hey, what gets it done here? Is it veteran hierarchy or is it talent that's producing? This could be the first moment that's really awkward for the organization. I don't think it's a goaltending controversy, because controversy to me means, generally speaking, you've got three guys that are all playing great. Mm-hmm. That's a controversy.
Yes.
Here, I think that old saying that you always hear all the time, you guys, where a GM or a coach says, the players will tell us who deserves to get the ice time. I think that the players in this case, the three goalies, they've already told you. Like, the one guy is terrible. And the other two, even though Dobish had a little bit of a bad run, is playing a lot better. And the guy who's not supposed to arrive yet at the age of 21, where it's really rare for a goalie to arrive at 21, has arrived. He's the best of the three right now. And we got the eye test too on that, right? Like, I can give you the stats and goals saved above expected. He's like already +6 per 60 minutes. He's third in the NHL. That's how well he's playing. But beyond that, we can see he's not going to Moose Jaw to make a save. We can see he's staying in his net. We can see he pushes off the correct amount that he stays in goal to get from the left side to the right side. We can see he makes himself big. We can see he understands, oh, my team's in trouble. Let's put a glove on this and let them reset. I mean, he does everything right. So if they make the decision to say, okay, good try, kid, you were awesome, but bye, I don't think that sends a message to the locker room that this is the season we're going for it. And when I say going for it, I don't mean draft picks. I mean a long playoff run.
Buffalo Sabres, I think, have won 5 or 6 in a row. They've been the worst NHL franchise the last 15 years. Going into, today, we're filming this on a Monday. They're 3 points behind the Lightning. 3. So there are no points to give up here. I was very conservative with, I don't want to bring the kid up against a team that isn't really good in their own end. I don't need this guy to get shelled. I don't need this guy to get peppered, lose his confidence. But there's too much at stake here. There's a team that is coming off a very successful season last year, and there's an element there in the room where you have to just throw it all out. And your mandate as a coach is to field your best lineup available. And I guess you can switch that up when it's coming to a back-to-back game, because we don't do back-to-back goalies anymore. But other nights, you got to go with the guy that gives you the best opportunity to win. And we'll use the football example. You don't know how long this is going to, like the Detroit Lions, where everybody's darlings, might not make the playoffs. Winnipeg Jets are I believe they were the best team in the Western Conference last year. There's no guarantees you get back. So to think that because Demidov is really cool with the puck and Nick Suzuki is a point-a-game player and Lane Hudson and Cole Caulfield should both be on Team USA, all of those things are absolutely true. None of those things guarantee you any spot in the postseason. I just think there's too much at stake here. You have a young team trending in the right direction, and you need to get them a save.
Yeah, we'll see how it plays out. I know you're saying that at the time you didn't agree with the call-up, Simon, but it does happen where guys come up, especially at that position. Guys will come up and they'll play really, really well. Now, this guy, I think it's a little bit different because there's the pedigree, and I do think that he has all the intangibles to become a franchise goaltender. But, it doesn't mean that it's going to happen right away. And it wouldn't shock me if the play dipped to a point where, Brian, maybe to your point, maybe he does end up going down. I don't think we can take this as money in the bank. I don't know if you guys feel differently than I do. Can you take this as money in the bank, Brian? You think he's a sure thing the rest of the way, or as sure thing as you can get?
Yeah, I don't think anybody's a sure thing in the world of goaltending. Even the best Bobrovsky Cup winner still had bad runs in his career. It's weird goaltending, and it's the reason I keep having some level of faith in Sam Montembeault when nothing that he does shows me that I should have any faith in him, except for historically they all have lows, and then they all recover from lows. So I'm going to just assume he's the same as everyone else. But until he is, I think you got to run with, and I would be very disappointed organizationally if they punish the two guys that are better than him. I think what has to happen is one of the two guys that are better than him right now has to fall off. And if they fall off, then he gets in there. But until the two Jacobs fall off, Sam doesn't deserve the net. He simply doesn't. And when one of those fall off and are sent back to Laval, then he can have the net back. And yeah, it's awkward, 3 at practice. But you know what's more awkward than 3 at practice? 732 is a save percentage. Yeah. That's more awkward.
Yeah, and you go back to right around this time last year, Dobis got that start there, was in one of the Florida games where I believe he came in, I might have even pitched a shutout, and then he did so well.
It was the first weekend. I think it was the first couple of days. Florida and Tampa.
Exactly.
Yeah, they made a great move. They gave up on Primo.
And then there was a point where Martin St. Louis and that front office could not trust Dobis with another start. And then they kept going to get Sam Montembeault, kept going. And I think there was a stretch where maybe Sam Montembeault played like 8, 9, 10 games in a row, whatever it was. So that position is not perfect. Right now it's very touch and go here. No different than I think if you're a baseball manager here, who do you want to give the ball to in which inning, and get back to the dugout and perhaps even cross your fingers. So hockey tells us that there's going to be a hiccup here for Fowler. Like for him to come up and tear it up, I'm great. I'll enjoy the ride, but the math does say he's going to have issues here as a 21-year-old trying to find his way in the National Hockey League.
Yeah, and I can, just run some guys who were drafted higher than him that were expected to have more pedigree than him, that, had to go back to the minors. Like Sebastian Cossa was expected to be, fantastic. And he's still in the minor leagues in Detroit's organization. Hrabal was drafted higher than Fowler in the same year, and he's still at Amherst, at Michigan is another highly touted goaltender in the same draft year, Trey Augustine, the American. And then you go farther back than that, Spencer Knight's first good year is now. He's 24. Lots of hiccups before that. Like there are a ton of goalie hiccups when they try to get him in at 20. Askarov, highly touted, failed in Nashville. Then they say, well, this kid's supposed to be so good, when it's going to happen. And now finally in San Jose, it's happening a bit. And again, 25 years old. So if Fowler's a guy that does this at 21, he is a really rare breed. So I would run with this as long as he can run with it. And I think my philosophy in goalies, the more I think about it, the more you watch these guys go up and down, and it seems like voodoo is, if they're hot, leave them in the net.
Yeah.
Unless they tell you, that's 3 and 4, I'm dead. I mean, if they don't tell you that and they're hot, leave them in net. Take the W's until they're tired or lose their, average mean being super high.
If we can go to something that Simon and I had discussed on the show yesterday, we talked about Sidney Crosby. We got a bunch of people angry, Simon, because we questioned whether or not the Canadiens could have the assets to go get Sidney Crosby. I think we both said that they do.
Well, I asked this question to Brian on Sunday. My only little bit of a drawback with the no acquisition is I'm concerned. I want him to get a little bit of offense going here, but there's so many positive things from the defensive side. But I asked Brian this question, Joey, and I'll ask you this question. Mm-hmm. Heineman and 2 first-round picks. Logan Mailloux, former first-round pick.
Yeah.
You've given up these assets, and now another second-round pick, and it's a nice second-round pick. No disrespect to our good friends in Columbus. That might be, the second you're done with the first round, they might be back on the clock immediately. So that might not be just any second-round pick. It might be a very high second-round pick. So I asked Brian this question, and just to go over it again, are you concerned that when whoever, O'Reilly, Kadri, Crosby, there will be a bidding war for these guys, because if you look at Philip Deneau, a guy who hasn't scored this year, has 5 assists, he went for a second. Can you imagine guys that are productive and probably better at center ice position than he is? What will the haul be? Now, do the Canadiens have? They do have. I'll let you guys answer. I think they do have, but it's also names that I'm not thrilled about parting ways with.
Yeah. I think, based on reported asking prices, I think I may sit out on Ryan O'Reilly, and I'd probably sit out on Kadri, because I'd imagine that's going to be even more expensive than O'Reilly. But I would go in on Crosby. I would pay a price that hurts, because I just think that, with Crosby, you saw it, over the weekend. You saw it especially on Sunday. The guy can still do it at a very high level, and I think that there's a lot. I think there's good years left. He hasn't started slowing down at all, and I just think if you can come at it with a 1, 2, 3, even 4 punch down the middle of Suzuki, Crosby, Deneau, and Evans, and then you have the wingers that you have, and you have the growth from your young players that you have, I think you owe it to yourself to go get it. You talked about it before, so I'm not saying they're going to win the Stanley Cup this year, but standings are really tight. Like, everybody's right there. Detroit's on top of the division. Florida's banged up. Tampa Bay's played a lot of hockey over the last little while. Like, you can go out there, and I don't want to say you can, if you get saves, I feel like you can go out there and go toe-to-toe with anybody. So if you're asking me to mortgage the farm on Kadri, you're asking me to mortgage the farm on O'Reilly, I don't think I would. But if I have an opportunity to go get Sidney Crosby, I think it's definitely worth listening to. And I'm not copying out. If you want to propose something to me, I'll tell you yes or no. But I just think with the prospects that they do have, I think they have a lot of good prospects. I don't think they have franchise-altering player outside of Jacob Fowler yet. I think there's Zorowski's a good player, right, Brian? He's going to likely be something really good. I think Michael Hage will be really good too. I don't think there's anybody franchise-altering. I think there's really good players there.
It's a tough one, you guys, because basically you're just saying, are we thinking of a 2-3 year window here or an 8 to 10 year window? And if you're a general manager, that's really hard, because I think if it is Crosby, I wouldn't be in on anyone else anymore, I don't think. I think after getting Phil Deneau, I think I would take a pass on those guys, because I don't think they changed the footprint enough. And I really believe that Michael Hage is going to be someone special. So when I make that decision to go 3 years hard with Crosby, I know I'm giving up Michael Hage, who, when Crosby's retired, is going to be excelling in Pittsburgh for 7 more years after that. And that's going to be painful if the goal isn't met in the next 2-3 years. And it won't just be Hage. They'll have to give up Reinbacher too. Like, Kyle Dubas isn't settling for Owen Beck here, you guys.
No.
Mm-hmm. Somebody's going to go to the mat for Sidney Crosby. And if it's Kent Hughes that has to go to the mat, it's going to cost Hage. It's going to cost Jorovsky. It's going to cost Reinbacher. It's going to cost your top 3 and a first rounder. It's going to be 4 big-time assets. And I think everybody watching right now is going to, have to ask themselves how they feel about that. And Kent Hughes is going to have to ask himself. And me, all I can tell you about how I feel about that is I'm happy I'm not making the decision. Because I think it's a really hard one. Yeah. And I would never hold it against the general manager if he goes one way or the other, because for the most part, in fact, all of the parts, I would say they just refuse to make any mistakes. They've been doing this since they drafted Slavkovsky. And I basically only feel they've made one error, and that was Arturi Lehkonen. I don't think they got enough for him. He was a young hockey player who had a lot of future in front of him, who loved Montreal. But that's it. If you can make, I think it's over 100 moves already. And I can only find one that I'm not in complete agreement with. And even then, it's not so bad. Who am I to say if this guy goes after Crosby that I got it wrong? These guys are doing a hell of a job. My personal opinion would be, and it's just me philosophically, I like the long build. I like to think they've got talent in spades for injury issues every single year. They got so much depth, because they still got Hage, they still got Jorovsky, who I both think are top 6 players in their second year of hockey in the NHL. And Reinbacher's coming along beautifully too. So personally, I don't make the move.
Okay.
But I would understand it if they did.
Listen, I'm not a big fan of crossing bridges. going into the South Shore. But if I have to drive all those dudes to whatever that airport is in the South Shore,
you do it. Say Hubert.
yeah, they're all getting. Look, they're all quality hockey players, but obviously we're not getting Sidney Crosby in his prime. But you're still getting the hockey IQ that is completely off the charts. Completely off the charts.
Can they win the cup with them, you guys?
Yeah, and I will do it
3 years.
But I don't think it's 3 years, because this is the scenario, Brian. When it was the group that went to the last Stanley Cup, and Shea Weber and Jeff Petrie and all those guys had mileage on them. So if you tell me, Simon, you can get Sidney Crosby, and when Sidney Crosby is done, what is left on your ball club? Well, I'm just going to speculate. I'll speculate that you'll still have a first-line center who can produce at a point a game. I still think you'll have a skilled wingman to his left that can get you 35, 40. You'll have a 6'2", 6'3" kid that should be taking on even more the role of a power forward. And you might have a guy on the other wing that is also a point-a-game player. On the blue line, you're going to have Noah Dobson, because I don't know how to explain Noah Dobson, just a good defenseman. You'll have Mike Matheson, and you'll have what there are literally a unicorn, because there's only like 2 or 3 of them in the National Hockey League on the blue line. You'll still have all those pieces, and not even bring up an Oliver Kapanen that is just a good quality hockey player. So if Suzuki was on year 6 of 8 and Caulfield was on year 5 of 8, and you get Crosby for 3 years, then you're saying I literally have a 3-year window, because the other 2 guys might bail when this thing falls apart. But it won't. If Crosby were to land today and spend another 2.5 years, this year and 2 more years, when he says goodbye and we have the ceremony and all those things, you are left with a plethora of young talent still trending in the right direction. So I think from a power of strength, you can give up on some of these guys.
Okay, so let me ask, how many years do you think Crosby has left? And in that window, can the Montreal Canadiens win the cup with their present roster? Because there are no more prospects coming.
Yes.
Your answer is yes to that?
Yeah, I'll go with what Joey said. I think that we're walking into an era here that it took a while to get here. But the National Hockey League, the Eastern Conference, is going to be 13 teams deep that are playoff teams, and probably a whole bunch of them that can knock somebody out in the first round as well. I think there's never been greater parity in the National Hockey League, and I think the Canadiens are in a good spot. The Tampa Bay run, I guess, eventually is going to come to an end, just being one of the better teams in hockey. The Leafs are, they got to figure things out. Ottawa's a good club, but I would put the Canadiens in there because I'm also projecting classic growth from all these guys. Demidov can't come in at a 65-point guy. Slav can't come in at a guy that's only going to be getting you 21 goals. I'm just looking at what they offer now. Give me a little bit of an increase here or there because they're getting better at hockey. They're getting better as a collective. I think definitely they can.
Would I bet on it, Brian? I probably wouldn't bet on it because it's at that point there's a little bit of luck that goes into it too. But I think it's worth rolling the dice. I think it's worth the chance. So you don't think, if you think they had Crosby, you don't think that they win the Stanley Cup?
Oh,
win is a big deal. Win is a big thing. Win is a
big deal. But let's say Final Four. Let's say Final Four as just a minimum. So that's winning 2 rounds. I think they need to get a little bit tougher. That's not really difficult to do. Get tougher. They're going to have like $35 million to play with because they're just handling the cap better than anyone else out there.
It's also Sidney Crosby.
I'm still going to say no. Say no. What about this, you guys? What about this? You haven't said this.
Right, he's going to get on the phone and get you whatever you want. Like, don't make me live in a world where Sidney Crosby calls Nathan McKinnon and tells him to leave Colorado to join him in Montreal. That's like when he'll get guys to come.
Here's a thought.
Contracts.
What about when Anderson and Gallagher are off the books? Laine will be off the books as well. Danault will be off the books as well. You're going to have $35 million to spend. What about the best UFA at that time? And that doesn't cost you Hage. It doesn't cost you Reinbecker. It doesn't cost you Zurovsky. Do you like that scenario at all?
Yes.
Who goes to market anymore? Not many people go to market anymore, Brian. I mean, a lot of these guys, like, look at the free agent crop from last year. There wasn't a ton there. I'd have to take a deeper look this year, but I don't know.
Brian's going big game. He's
I'm
thinking
going big game hunting.
He's saying
And now I don't think I'm going big game hunting for a place nobody wants to come. I think I'm going big game hunting, listening to Cole Caulfield say around the league, everybody wants to play for Martin St. Louis. I'm going big game hunting with that in mind. And an organization, everybody loves to play here. Everybody loves the respect they get from Kent Hughes. You can't find anyone around the NHL saying anything bad about the experience right now playing in Montreal. You see Fowler looking around on Saturday night? What a holy shit moment that was for him. It's like, wow, I don't deserve any of this. But what a moment for him. You can feel the love that they send, that they feel. Mike Matheson takes $6 million when he could get $9 million. I mean, it's everywhere, you guys. So I'm not saying Connor McDavid wants to come here, but I am saying he's going to want to get out of there. And how many teams are going to have, when Connor McDavid decides to get his $15 million, are going to actually have $15 million? Now, don't get me wrong if you're listening in. I'm not saying Connor McDavid's coming to Montreal. I'm just saying the sky is the limit when you have $35 million.
Yeah.
Big game hunting. Absolutely.
Yeah. I think we found our headline, Simon. And look, I'll be honest with you. I don't know.
Brian Wilde says.
Yeah, Brian Wilde thinks that Canadiens are going to get Connor McDavid. But, I mean, I guess this is a whole other conversation here with the Toronto Maple Leafs because everybody's drawn that parallel, or the New York Rangers or whatever. But, I mean, if the Canadiens are competitive and he goes to market in 2 years, I mean, man, you never know. It's just that you never know. That's the thing. You're not giving anything up. It's just it takes two to dance. And this way here, you would think that Crosby wants to come here. But I don't know. I'm not sure where they go from here. Obviously, if you can get McDavid, yeah, go for it. But there's not a ton of guys that hit the market. You know, all these guys re-sign. So it's free agency is not the greatest route. A lot of mistakes are made on July 1. Guys, just quickly, final thoughts here, Brian, just going into 2026 and what you're expecting, big picture. And then, Simon, you can take it off, Brian.
All right, 2026, I'm expecting the Canadiens are going to have a really strong second half of the season. I think they went through their harder stretch of schedule through here. December was a mess. I think it was 4 or 5 back-to-backs, all of it real hard, a lot of injured players. They're all coming back. The goaltending has to get better. The guys that are young are going to feel better about their games. You can see some of them progressing by the night, like Slafkovsky and Demidov. And so I'm expecting big things in the second half. If they fall off and are less than, with the addition of Deneau, who is an absolute power on the defensive side of the puck, to have a 53 Corsi with nothing but defensive zone starts, that's fantastic, and people are underestimating that. I'm expecting really big things from the team. I think they just went through their hardest stretch, and it's only one direction from here, and it's up.
Yeah, I agree with Brian, but I think they're going to be in for a dogfight. I think the Atlantic Division, when the Lightning and when the Panthers get Matthew Tkachuk back, I think the Ottawa Senators as well. I think there's a lot of quality hockey teams. Look, we got to give respect to Boston. I keep waiting for them to fall off, and Geeky's going to go off for like 75 goals this year. And the Wings are still in it. It's a very competitive division. I just think that I think there'll be a playoff team this year. And I think even if there were to be a wild card team, they're going to be good enough to be a very dangerous wild card team. It will not be the same wild card team that they were last year. They'll be a much more complete, but they are battling in that Atlantic division. The one that I'm waiting for, look, I'd like to see Kirby Dach come back. The guy's been injured for so often and playing some good hockey, but kind of like the way Alex Carrier came in last year and kind of settled in the defense, Caden Gould is going to do that even more so. So they need him back because he does do a couple of things that the other guys just don't do at a high level. So I don't know if they're going to thrive till then, but if they can survive, I think at that point they can thrive after that.
By the way, Geeky, I think I saw this morning that leads the league in goals for the calendar year. I think he's like up and over 50, something like that. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
No way.
Yeah, something crazy like that.
That's insane.
Yeah.
And Lane Hudson leads for defensemen.
Yeah, there you go.
Crazy.
So,
what are your predictions for 2026?
For me, I'm along the same lines as you, Brian. I think the Canadiens are going to be fine. I think they're going to be solid. And just for the record, I don't think they're going to go out there and get anybody else. I don't think there's going to be another major deal. I think they might add some depth on the blue line, but I don't think there's going to be anything crazy. Like, I don't think they're going to go out and get themselves another center. I think this might be off-season talk. And just for the record, I'm going to put it out there. I don't think the Pittsburgh Penguins should trade Sidney Crosby even in a rebuild. I think you keep Sidney Crosby the whole way unless he comes up to you and says, hey, Kyle, I want out. I think that's the only way I'm making the move. I'm not going to him and saying, hey, we've got this. What do you think? Like, we're going to send you to Montreal, your boyhood team, and all that fun stuff. I wouldn't go there at all. So I personally think that he stays a Pittsburgh Penguin until the end of his days. But if they can pull it off, let them pull it off. But I think Canadiens are going to be fine. I think Canadiens are going to do some good things in the second half of the year. And I don't know if they'll compete for top spot or if they'll be in top spot, but I think they'll compete for top spot in the Atlantic. But I think if you finish 1, 2, 3, I think that's a step up from where you were last year, and I think they'll be fine. I'm really good with that. Is that okay?
I think you might be better off finishing 7th and playing whoever comes out of the Metropolitan than having to be like Dallas and Minnesota, who are going to have to go after each other in the first round. Also,
yeah, that's no fun. Gentlemen,
just don't face Colorado.
Yeah.
But the good news is that if you face Colorado, that means it was a really, really good year. It was a really good year if you're the Canadiens. So,
yes.
Brian, thanks for doing this. Really appreciate the time. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to you and yours. Always appreciate having you on. And Tsalikis is waving or wants to say something.
No, it's not just me saying universal goodbye.
Hello?
Okay, you're my universal.
Thank you, Brian.
Thank you.
Appreciate you. Simon, thank you for jumping on again. We'll be back with another episode tomorrow. And don't forget, you can find us on YouTube, subscribe. You can also listen to us if you don't want to see Tsalikis' face or you're tired of his new glasses. You can also listen on Apple Podcast and Spotify. Simon, be good. Behave yourself. I'll talk to you tomorrow.
Yes, sir.